you have to be very good at certain things, and you can't be very good at certain things if you're trying to be good at everything.
You can't be good at everything, and it comes back to the customer. If we're not doing the right thing for the customer, it's not going to work. And then it means that the ad tech isn't going to pay out, and it means ultimately that we're just creating too much friction for the retailer. If the product isn't customer centric and it's not creating better customer experiences in a digital ecosystem or an in-store ecosystem, there's no point. Why you have to be linked up with merchandising? If you're treating this as a retailer as two separate things and it's not joined up, an advertiser could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a big media campaign. It's going to do absolutely nothing apart from drive category growth if their competitor is on half price.
Hello and welcome to Retail Media Cam,
the podcast that gets you a backstage pass to what's really going on in the retail media industry.
Hosted by James Taylor, CEO and founder of Particular Audience.
In each episode, we'll explore the strategies and emerging technologies shaping the future of retail media.
And here's the best part. You'll hear it all straight from the source. Recorded live at the world's leading retail conferences, from NRF to grocery shop.
We'll tap into the energy of the show floor, where the biggest names and brightest minds in retail come together.
Think influencers, analysts, and the top executives and innovative founders who are pushing the boundaries of what's possible in retail media.
We'll capture that excitement and bring it straight to your headphones.
On this podcast, you'll get exclusive interviews with industry luminaries and thought leaders,
insights on launching and scaling retail media networks, what works, what doesn't, and the biggest pitfalls to avoid.
behind-the-scenes access to the latest AI-driven technologies transforming the space.
Deep dive into why there is an industry-wide shift toward AI, automation, and hyper-personalized experiences with actionable insights you can take back to your business. Brought to you by Particular Audience, the AI-first retail media platform. Retail Media Cam helps you stay ahead in this fast-moving industry. If you want to adapt, lead, and win in retail media, this is the podcast for you. So let's dive in.
So I am Matt Romano. I just joined Particular Audience as VP of Partnerships, bringing this fantastic retail media technology to North America and Europe. So I would love to hear more about what you're doing. I've done a lot of work on the retail side as well. I launched Home Depot's Retail Media Network, worked with Walmart, and eBay, and Sears, and Toys R Us, and in the past. But retailers have gotten a lot more progressive in this business. And I would love to hear, how you guys are helping get into this.
No problem. Well, for those that don't know me, I'm Sean from SMG. SMG is from the UK. We've been doing retail media for the last 16 years, and we're in the fortunate position over in the UK to be the number one retail media network agency. Why are we the number one? Well, we work with some of the biggest retailers in the UK currently. You may know some of them. Boots, owned by Walgreens here in the US, the number one drug and beauty retailer. We also work with Asda, the number 3 grocer, Morrisons, the number 5 grocer, alongside the Co-op, the number 1 convenience store, and then the Very Group, which I always describe as kind of like a Macy's without stores. It's the number 1 pure play department store out in the UK. And what we do for those retailers is we help them either operate their retail media network end to end, or we look at key parts of that puzzle of a retail media network to make it the best that it can be. And with those partners over there, what we are looking to do really is accelerate their capabilities in retail media. So for some of them, we've been working with them for literally over a decade, and then others, we're just at the start of our journey. And now that we're over here in the US, my role is leading our North America expansion. And excitingly, we're just about to announce our first US partner.
Congrats.
Thank you. We're very excited. Yeah.
I can say congratulations.
You can say, no, you can say it. It's signed, sealed, delivered. It's happening.
All right. Well, congratulations. I can't wait to hear who it is. Very excited. That's awesome. Does that mean a lot more trips across the pond?
Well, I'm based here now in New York. So yeah, this is my home city now. So good to be on this side of the pond. But what we've been doing over the last year is really focusing on where the retailers we can help through like an advisory capacity. We're taking that 16 years worth of knowledge and really looking at that end-to-end process and helping retailers over here. I think if you look at the differences between the European market and the North American market, there are some really quite stark ones. brands. The UK and Europe has been very much focused on the store and how to drive retail media in the store. If you think about it, 80% of footfall and sales are still going through the store. But the increasing importance of e-com, which is where the US is focused, that on-site and off-site opportunity, means that there is now convergence of the two markets. It's about omni-channel, right? And I know that's a bit of a buzzword, but it's about ensuring that we're focusing relentlessly on that customer experience. For me, retail media is not ad sales, right? If you are approaching retail media as a media buyer or marketer and just looking for retail media channels in isolation, you're not doing a connected experience for the customer. So what we believe at SMG is about ensuring that your retail media campaigns are completely connected. If we think about it as like a connected commerce vision, we want to ensure that we're enhancing that customer experience, whether they're in a store, whether they're shopping on a website, or whether they're thinking about going to a store, going to a website, whether that's on their commute to work, whether that is sitting at home, or just out and about. We want to ensure we're talking to them with the right message, with the right product at the right time, and using the right tech to do that.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I agree with you too in the fact that you want to make that retail media business as seamlessly integrated into the overall retailer's operations and their message to the customers and their relationships with the suppliers. All of that, if you can get that right, you don't need to be focusing on the ad sales. You've got those suppliers. You can strengthen that relationship, and you enable them to better promote their products.
I think that's what our retail partners really value, because we are wholly integrated into their business. We put people into their business to help operate that service end to end. And instead of looking at it as just like an ad sales team or a campaign team or a measurement team or a creative team or a merchandising team, actually it's all of that, looking after the end to end operation. We believe that retailers need to set up their retail media network with a one front door approach. So you go in and you have the opportunity, say you're L'Oreal, to basically take a budget, set your KPIs, and look at the data to understand what you should be activating across that end-to-end purchase. That makes it really customer-centric again, right? It ensures that you're delivering against the best practice in retail media, picking the right selection of media to make it customer-centric, and then ensuring that it is that right mix across the full funnel within a retail media ecosystem.
And that's important for that supplier to have that one front door, to have all the opportunities for activation in front of you, all that reporting, and bringing it all back, offline reporting, the online reporting, bringing it all back into one place so they can figure out how to continue to, and focus their spend or try new things. And
yeah. Well, exactly. Like if you're a brand now, you've got over 200 global retail media networks to be working with. We have got to make it as simple as possible for brands in order to activate their retail media. There's some incredible predictions coming out about how big this industry can be. But in order for us to get even close to some of those predictions, we've got to make this a seamless experience for advertisers. And so to do that, I think the best way is to ensure that retailers are offering the best service as a retail media network. They need to have a point of difference, and they need to ensure that they're always focusing on the customer.
And efficiency. Like you mentioned, the growth, like at these retail media groups, as they're getting starting very basic and laying the foundation. But as things get more complex and the suppliers want more, want better, and that you have to work on that efficiency, you have to work on the innovation. Super, super interesting. Like as you are navigating into North America, and you have a full stack approach, right?
Yes.
But when you are looking at consulting, and like specific areas, what specific areas are you seeing retailers kind of need you for? You need your help.
I think sometimes we forget that retailers are not media companies, right? They are brilliant at selling product, but this is a new game for them. And so where they work with us and our partners on is looking at how they set up that retail media network in the best way. Or if they've got a retail media network already in operation, what new technologies should they be employing? If you are a general manager at a retail media network, your LinkedIn inbox every day is being filled with opportunities. So how do you decipher what's good and bad? How do you understand what's priced right? How do you understand what's actually going to better your current ecosystem to deliver for that customer wherever they happen to be? And so we do a lot of work in that space to ensure that from an agnostic, independent point of view, they can benefit from our experience over the last 16 years. They can benefit from all the data we've got from brands to understand what actually works. And then they can understand from obviously the different 7 networks that we run, what ultimately is best practice.
See, and that's really interesting too. But the fact that you are working with different retailers and different types of retailers, you mentioned grocers and boots of
Yes, drug and beauty, and then you've got department store, and we've done a lot of work as well in specialist retail, different sections of travel. There's a lot of different experiences, and I think there's some commonality there, right, in what people are trying to achieve in retail media, but there's also some really unique challenges that people have to focus on.
Exactly. And you guys bring that expertise to the table, and then you also then apply that to the technology stacks and and you have already seen different categories of retailers try different things. So you're bringing that expertise to the table.
That's one of the reasons that people work with us though, right? Is we're here to accelerate their capabilities. I think a lot of the partners that we work with find that they move quicker by working with us than if they're trying to work out themselves. There is a bit of a talent shortage in this industry. It's been around, in our opinion, for a couple of decades. It's just been called different things. But there aren't loads of people that now work in retail or commerce media. And so because of that, it's a relatively small industry that's tight-knit with only so much talent to go around. And we've got 450 plus of us globally now that are helping accelerate that for our retail partners.
Awesome. And so you're just coming into North America. Your home headquarters is Europe, right?
London and New York. Yeah, we've got headquarters in both. So we've got fortunate to have people in both sides of the pond. But what we also specialize in do is putting people where the head offices are of our retailers. So actually, those are our 2 head offices, but we've got remote offices with lots of people working out of the head offices of the retailers. So in the UK, whether that's Leeds, whether that's Liverpool, whether that is Nottingham, they're all over the place.
Gotcha. That's smart. It's one thing to be in time zone. It's another thing to be within 15
At the desk, hustling.
Yes. Well, and when you become a trusted advisor like you guys are becoming for these retailers, those daily conversations, daily interactions, they lean on you more heavily. Everybody gets smarter together, which I love that model because like you said, retailers are not media companies. This is all new. It's a very different business, and a lot of them will try and say, "Oh, I know how to do this. I can figure this out," and quickly realize that it's very complicated.
It is complicated. It's not an easy thing to get right. And also for a retailer to make a change, you got to remember that they're also looking at everything else that they have to do. They're looking at their operations, they're looking at their warehousing, they're looking at logistics, they're looking at their delivery, they're looking at their product pages. All of these things require investment, they require innovation, and they require a lead gen cycle to get to the point where they make that decision. So they are big juggernauts of businesses that we're trying to impact and help hopefully drive some growth for. But I do believe that retail media can drive, that top line sales growth as well as that bottom line profitability for retailers. And that's why it's become such an important part of their opportunity and offering for advertisers, but also their P&L.
Yeah, and they get very appreciative of that that increase in revenue, but also that margin, right? And it's a much higher margin than their standard retail business. And I've seen retailers use that as a line to feed. This is one of the reasons why it usually falls under a CMO is because it's feeding different parts of that marketing budget. And when you think about it, it becomes a circle. You make more money on retail media. Then you can spend more on marketing. You're bringing more clients in, which is then allowing you to make more money in retail media and continually growing that marketing budget, which is just going
flywheel.
It's beautiful.
And that's actually, that structural side of it is one of the most important things to get right. And actually another area we help set up and advise, because you mentioned it flowing into marketing. Could it flow into merchandising? There's different benefits to every system and different retailers do it in different ways. I think we see pros and cons of both approach. But ultimately you just need to ensure that you've got that C-suite buy-in, that you've got the leadership driving it forward as a priority, and you've got the advertising revenue flowing in that benefits the business to create that flywheel. Because we were talking about how retailers are retailers and not media companies. You need everyone in that retail ecosystem to be on board with the network to help drive its growth. If it's siloed and disjointed, it's not going to drive the growth that we're all looking for.
I totally agree. So when you're navigating like those internal conversations at a retailer, where do you start? Or not even just where you start, but that's like part one of the question. But where do you see the success? Because it's a level of education across the org. Everybody has to be comfortable with the business in order to get the support internally and give it the chance it needs to survive and grow.
I honestly think it starts at the top. It starts at the C-suite. The C-suite has to be aligned that this is a strategic priority for the business. It then has to give the direction of where that funding is going to flow into their business. What P&L does it hit? And then how does that money get recognized back into, for example, merchandising or into marketing so that everyone is bought in and then helps drive the growth of it collectively. The worst thing that can happen is competing priorities, competing targets, and people targeted in different ways to achieve that. So we do a lot of work around helping to set that up. And I'll admit that, over the last 16 years, we've tried it in different ways. And there is no one perfect solution. I do believe that. It's about finding the right solution for the right retailer. A lot of these are legacy retailers with legacy systems, and you've got to make sure that you set it up in a way that works for them individually. But it starts at the top. You need to have C-suite buy-in that retail media is a priority for them as a business.
Agreed. You hit those you hit the nail on the head with the top down, because you get a lot of one thing that I've noticed when I've worked on the retail side is conflicting priorities and certain groups not being incentivized to help.
Yes.
Right. And then you hit a brick wall because it's like, I don't want to do that. That doesn't align with my OKRs. So you need to, as a retailer, you need to properly educate and properly inform and give those directives to get everybody aligned. It's a new business line. Everybody should be excited and support it. So, it's the communication is definitely very important.
I agree with all of that.
Yeah. As you're navigating North America, you've got the one client, right? Are there certain categories that you guys have been most successful with, or most knowledgeable about?
A lot of us see our core as grocery because we were founded by two ex-dunnhumby directors. dunnhumby, the company behind Tesco, of course, and now owned by Tesco. But I think, as I mentioned, we do work across multiple different verticals and have that history across multiple different verticals. And because of that, I think we can offer really growth in any vertical, and you can cross over into those different spaces. So yes, very excited about the partner coming on board in the US in a big emerging space. And I think as we look forward to our roadmap, it's about finding the right partners who are looking for that accelerated growth strategy and really looking for that mix of maximizing their talent, maximizing external partners, getting the right ad tech in place, and then putting themselves on the path for growth moving forwards.
Is there anything like that you've seen over the last few days that's getting you excited? Any new technologies, any new approach, aside from particular audience?
That might be a big one, yeah.
Yeah, probably the best one, but I'm biased. But outside of that, digital out of home technologies, AI, machine learning, all the buzzwords, what are you seeing through the clutter that you're really excited about?
I mean, we mentioned earlier that Europe is ahead with the store. So the store is where you're seeing a lot of tech innovation coming through, right? Whether that is the digitalization of the store through the screens, through audio, through programmatic, through the shelf signage. There's a lot of opportunity there to do it. The challenge you'll hear from retailers is that's expensive. It's expensive. Even though the cost is coming down, it's expensive to implement that, especially in a market like this where they've got thousands and thousands of stores. America's a big country. So because of that, it's challenging for them to implement it. And I think where the other technologies that should be really interesting is about how you can join that up across the full funnel onto your site and offsite. So companies that are looking to join that all up, I think are where we're going to see growth. And I think 2025 is actually all going to be about partnership. It's going to be about companies coming together, helping stitch together the retail media ecosystem. I do not believe anyone has a product that does the whole thing. It doesn't exist out there. You need different parts of the puzzle stitched together. And so we need to find the right partners and the constant innovation that's coming forward through shows like this to help deliver that for retailers. And so, my big kind of predictions, if you want to say, is that you will see more innovation in the store. You will see more partnership opportunities between different companies coming together. And I think you will also start to see retail media networks, whether that is across commerce, travel, finance, whatever it happens to be, joining up together to create bigger opportunities to take on the top networks. And just look at the recent announcement from Amazon, who are obviously looking to accelerate their capabilities beyond their own four walls.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and they continue to bring their ad tech that they're using internally out, and bringing it and putting it into a partnership scenario.
They're not the only ones that have done that, though, right? Like Walmart Connect have done it.
Yeah.
Multiple partners are now looking beyond their four walls, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that as people look to collaborate and partner together.
Totally agree. I mean, I am the VP of partnerships here, a particular audience, so I better agree. Or James is going to get angry with me. But I totally agree. Like, I mean, in order to, as this industry is evolving, in order for it to continue to innovate, you have to be very good at certain things, and you can't be very good at certain things if you're trying to be good at everything.
You can't be good at everything, and it comes back to the customer. If we're not doing the right thing for the customer, it's not going to work. And then it means that the ad tech isn't going to pay out, and it means ultimately that we're just creating too much friction for the retailer. So if the product isn't customer centric and it's not creating better customer experiences in a digital ecosystem or an in-store ecosystem, there's no point.
And the flexibility is key too. Like you said, I mean, these are bespoke relationships, bespoke partnerships, and in the end, bespoke tech stacks, right? This is where you guys become more important as an advisor.
Yeah.
To be able to understand that retailer's business and understand the ad tech landscape and bring it all together and create a nice holistic program for them.
So that mix of advisory, then going into, which we've done in the UK, into that kind of long-term white label solution. And then also we've got a tool called Plan Apps, which APIs out into lots of partners to then ultimately deliver that ecosystem as a whole. And I think that opportunity and what we're offering is a proven model, working with people like yourselves to deliver that.
Excellent. Do you bring any proprietary technology to
Plan Apps? That's Plan Apps, yeah. So, I mean, I think like most pieces of technology, it started on an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And then we found a demand behind it where retailers were really wanting to show the value of their retail media, both the traditional in-store trade shopper marketing channels, the cardboard, all the way through to then the digital on-site, off-site. And what we realized very quickly is that if that could API out into various partners, you could create an ecosystem of media planning, media inventory management, and then media measurement. And you can do a whole mix of omni-channel studies to really look at what is the best combination. Is it a little bit of off-site social plus on-site search plus some display page advertising, then overlaid with audio in store? Or is it lose the audio, put in screens, and actually do some off-site display? That combination of media will change every time depending on the client. So what brand is advertising, what the KPI is, what the retailer is, and we've got 16 years worth of data helping brands do that.
And when it is too, like understanding that, retailers' event schedule and everything else is going on, that changes the tactics constantly. It's very fluid.
Why you have to be linked up with merchandising. If you're treating this as a retailer as two separate things and it's not joined up, an advertiser could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a big media campaign. It's going to do absolutely nothing apart from drive category growth if their competitor is on half price.
Makes sense. Have you seen? I have so many questions for you, so we could stop whenever. But like one of the things that I'm excited about. I'm not sure if the industry is there yet.
Yeah.
Is when you think about that centralized entryway for a supplier or a marketer. Are you seeing retailers starting to bring the terrestrial display, like the in-store end caps? In-store audio can still be digitized, so that still becomes like that online landscape in my mind, digital out of home. But the end caps, like those types of things, the in-store signage that isn't digital. Are you seeing them bring that in as a?
Europe does it all in one. So yeah, they do. Yeah. So if you look at what we do with Boots Media Group, it will be everything from that traditional cardboard that you can buy, like the end caps, through to the digital screens, through to the security gates, through to floor stickers, hanging decals, escalator wraps, like whatever you want to do in the store is part of the retail media network, which is then overlaid with all the on-site. And of course, they've got multiple partners in their system that help do that, whether it's through search, whether it's through the product page, whether it's through all the other elements that stitch that together. And then the offsite, which then, of course, you need your external partners like Metaphor, Google, etc., to then deliver that. But it's all powered by first-party data, right? So most retailers have that loyalty card scheme. They have the Boots Advantage card. It's one of the biggest loyalty schemes in the UK. And that is allowing them to then offer the closed loop measurement and bring it all together, whether people are swiping it in the store or through the website.
Which is a very important piece of the puzzle. And a lot of retailers realize that early on, like this is the core differentiator is that closed loop measurement. And how do we stitch that all together and give them quick insight into how their programs are working? Yeah, it all makes sense to me. Yeah.
Very good.
Thanks for joining us today, sir.
Very good.
It's great
See you next time.
with you.
Oh, right, there you go. That's my work done for the day.
Brought to you by Particular Audience, the AI-first retail media platform. Retail Media Cam helps you stay ahead in this fast-moving industry.